At 72 years old, I thought I had already said goodbye to my grandmother. She had been gone for nearly 15 years, and although I still missed her every day, life had a way of teaching you to carry grief quietly. You learn to smile at old photographs, laugh at memories, and pretend your heart didn't ache whenever a familiar smell reminded you of home. But one rainy Tuesday afternoon, while cleaning out my basement, I found something I hadn't seen since the day we packed up her house. Grandma Evelyn's old recipe box. And hidden inside it was a letter that changed everything I thought I knew about her. Grandma Evelyn had lived in the same white farmhouse outside Mason City, Iowa, for almost 60 years. A wraparound porch, a tire swing beneath the oak tree, and flower beds she cared for like family. To me, that house was magic. Every summer, my parents dropped me off for 2 weeks. Grandma would be waiting on the porch in her faded blue apron. "Come on, Tommy," she'd say. "I've got cinnamon rolls waiting." And she always did. Even now, the smell could bring tears to my eyes. Fresh bread, coffee, apple pie cooling by the window. She kept an old radio in the kitchen that played Frank Sinatra and Perry Como. Every morning she'd hum while kneading dough. Back then, I thought everyone had a grandmother like mine. I didn't realize how lucky I was. Grandpa Walter passed away when I was 13. Everyone wanted Grandma to move into town, but she always smiled. "This house remembers me," she'd say. At the time, I thought it was just something old people said. Now I understood. Walls remembered laughter, floorboards remembered dancing, and kitchens remembered love. She lived alone until she was 89. The last Thanksgiving she hosted, she insisted on cooking everything herself. By the end of the evening, she sat smiling while the family argued over football. I asked if she was tired. She squeezed my hand. "No, sweetheart. I'm happy." Those were the last words she ever spoke to me. 3 days later, she suffered a stroke. A week after that, she was gone. The family divided her belongings. Mom took photographs. My aunt took the china. My cousin inherited Grandpa's watch. I asked for only one thing, her recipe box, not because I planned to cook, but because every card inside held her handwriting. Chicken pot pie, peach cobbler, Christmas cookies. They still smelled faintly of vanilla and old paper. I stored the box away. Life became busy. Marriage, children, retirement, and somehow 15 years slipped by. Then one rainy afternoon, while organizing old boxes, I found it again. Dust covered the lid. My hands trembled as I opened it. There were hundreds of recipe cards, some stained with grease, others yellowed with age. I smiled as I recognized her notes. "A little extra cinnamon never hurt anybody." Then something strange caught my eye. At the bottom of the box, beneath the divider cards, lay an envelope. I had never seen it before. My name was written across the front. Thomas. Not Tommy. Thomas. And beneath it, in Grandma's handwriting, were 6 words. "For when you finally slow down." I just stared. She had written this before she died. And somehow I'd never found it. Not until now. I sat on the basement floor while rain tapped against the windows. Inside the envelope was a photograph. Grandma and Grandpa sat together on the porch swing sometime in the 1950s. Young, smiling, happy. I unfolded the letter. "Dear Thomas, if you're reading this, it means you're older now. Maybe older than you ever imagined becoming. You always moved so fast, sweetheart. Even as a boy, you were running toward tomorrow before today had a chance to say goodbye. I figured someday life would slow you down enough to sit still and remember." I smiled through tears. It sounded exactly like her. The letter continued. "I know grief hurts. Losing people hurts. But don't spend your life mourning what you lost. Spend it celebrating what you had. Most people don't get forever, Thomas. They get moments. And moments are enough, if you treasure them." Tears blurred the page. For 15 years I had wished for one more hug, one more Thanksgiving, one more conversation. But maybe she'd already given me enough. Then I read something I had never known. "There's something I never told anyone except your grandfather. Before I married Walter, I wanted to become a schoolteacher. Not because I loved books, because I loved children. For years I worried that I had missed my purpose. Then you children and grandchildren came along. And I realized purpose doesn't always look the way we expect. I stopped for a moment. Already, I could hear her voice in every line. Sometimes purpose is cinnamon rolls before church. Sometimes it's listening when someone is lonely. Sometimes it's creating memories people carry long after you're gone. Never think your life only matters when people applaud you. Love quietly, Thomas. Quiet love lasts the longest. I had to put the letter down. Suddenly I wasn't sitting in the basement anymore. I was 8 years old again, watching her knead dough, listening to Sinatra, feeling safe, feeling loved. Near the bottom of the page, she had written one final request. Promise me something. Call your sister. Visit your friends. Forgive quickly. Take pictures. Sit on porches. Eat dessert first once in a while. And tell your grandchildren stories. Because one day they'll remember your voice more than your presence. I cried harder than I had at her funeral. Because even then, she wasn't thinking about herself. She was thinking about me, just like she always had. That evening, I called my younger sister Susan. We hadn't spoken in nearly 3 years. Nothing terrible, just pride, stubbornness, life. When she answered, she sounded surprised. Tommy. Nobody called me Tommy anymore, except her. And suddenly, I heard Grandma's voice between us. We talked for 3 hours. Before hanging up, Susan whispered, "You know what I miss most?" "What?" "Grandma's cinnamon rolls." We both laughed. The following Sunday, I invited my children and grandchildren over. I brought out Grandma's recipe box. Together, we tried to make her cinnamon rolls. Flour covered the counters. My grandson spilled sugar everywhere. My granddaughter laughed so hard she nearly fell over. And while Frank Sinatra played from my phone, something wonderful happened. For a moment, Grandma was there. Not physically, but in the laughter, in the memories, in the smell of cinnamon. That photograph now sits beside the letter in a frame above my kitchen table. Whenever life feels heavy, I read it again. And I remember her words. Most people don't get forever. They get moments. Maybe that's enough. Maybe love was never meant to stay in one place. Maybe it lives on in stories, in recipes, in songs, in phone calls, in grandchildren, and sometimes hidden at the bottom of an old recipe box, waiting patiently for the day we finally slow down. Because the truth is, letters don't just carry words. Sometimes, they carry people home.